Now we turn to water. Shortly I'll be talking with New Zealand Maori Council co-chair Maanu Paul and political commentator Rawiri Taonui to discuss Maori rights and claims to water, which could threaten to delay asset sales. But firstly, let's take a look at what's been bubbling under the surface.
E mea ana e tahi ko te pakanga o te ao tuatoru, he pakanga tika wai. I nai nei, kua pupu ake ki ao te aroa. Ki whangārei, kua kawea e te taratihi Māori o whatitiri i tā rātau kreme mo te mana o te wai o Poroti. E ai ki te taratihi kei ona whenua te pūtakenga mai o te Poroti, engari kaore tōna mana whakahaere i te wai. Ki Waikato, i toa a ture tētahi atu taratihi Māori i tōna rangatiratanga ki te tākere o te awa o Waikato ki Mangakino. Kua kōkiri atu te kaunihera Māori ki te Tribunal o Waitangi mo te hokonga o ngā rawa hinonga te kāwana me ngā tikanga a triti a te Māori ki te wai. Ei ko nā tērā pēr ka whakatoroa ake te hokonga nui.
Now joining me in Christchurch today is commentator Rawiri Taonui. Tēnā koe Rawiri.
Morena, ata Māori.
And also in studio is co-chair of the New Zealand Maori Council, Maanu Paul. Tēnā hoki koe Manu.
Kia ora, Scotty.
Rawiri, let's start with you first. Do Māori have water rights and do they really exist in law?
Yes, Māori have spiritual, cultural, life-sustaining, commercial and developmental rights to water that you could describe succinctly as the exclusive undisturbed ownership of forestries, fisheries, lands, estate, taonga being water, and the extent to which those were unfairly alienated would lead to an interpretation that they continue to exist.
Most people will say no one owns the water and that Māori are being greedy. Is this the case?
John Key said that no one owns the water earlier this year, and that's a common philosophical misconception. The reality of the real world is that governments and peoples own and control the natural resources within their borders. Various landowners exercise different rights, such as ad medium fair life on non-navigable rivers in New Zealand, and there are also a range of commercial rights. You can't go into another country, help yourself to their water or hook a hose up to an irrigation scheme on the farm, or help yourself to water in a supermarket. You have to pay for it. It's quite interesting, Scotty, that misconception is only ever cited when it comes to Māori water rights.
We're just having a bit of trouble with Manu hearing your opinions at the moment, Rawiri, but Manu, I'd like to bring you in here anyway. Is the Maori Council using this issue around water to resurrect itself in terms of how the iwi perceive the Maori Council?
The answer to that is no. No. The Maori Council has an act that says quite clearly it's our statutory duty to protect all Māori. And when Māori water is being stolen by for example, by the Whangarei City Council and given or charged off to some commercial operator who bottles it and makes money out of it, and the water belongs to Māori, you know, one has to ask, are there two laws in this country? And the council is saying, we will exercise the most powerful advocacy in order to protect all Māori.
Rawiri, we all know that the council has taken this issue to the Waitangi Tribunal. Do you think they can win this case for Māori water rights, or are they just a relic of the past?
Well, you don't really win when you go to the tribunal. What you do is get a report and an opinion. And, you know, we know the past. The Maori Council in the 80s, 90s took the crown to the tribunal, then the courts, and then there were pan-Māori settlements. I don't think there'll be a pan-Māori settlement in this case. It'll come down to negotiating with iwi. Nevertheless, the Waitangi Tribunal action is a very important one because there's been quite a lot of international debate for about 2 decades now about the nature of Indigenous water rights, and what we need in New Zealand is a seminal statement on Aboriginal title in New Zealand law and also in the international context that will frame those settlements. So I think it's a very important action.
Manu, the iwi Leaders Forum opposed your case to the Waitangi Tribunal. What's your reaction to that?
Iwi leaders have a real responsibility to their beneficiaries, but only to their beneficiaries. They can't speak on behalf of all Māori. Only the Maori Council can do that.
Where does the mandate come from? for the New Zealand Maori Council to speak on behalf of all of Māori New Zealand.
The 1962 Maori Community Development Act, it states quite clearly that the Maori Council has a statutory duty to protect all Māori. And in doing so, it has given rise to the fisheries settlement, all right, the fact that we've got Māori television, the fact that Māori is an official language of this country, the forestry settlements. All those settlements were due entirely from the council taking the role that it needs to protect Māori from having their taonga under Article 2 stolen, commercialised by other people without even asking Māori.
We should mention here that we did invite some of the representatives from the iwi Leaders Forum to come on to the show today, but we were unsuccessful. But are you concerned that this could turn into an internal battle between the Maori Council and the iwi Leaders Forum?
No, because the council at its elections in Rotorua 2 weeks ago made a clear determination to extend Te Ringa Aroha, the hand of generosity, to all Māori groups. We've also adopting the open door policy to ensure that in order to grow the council, we need to have a full participation by all Māori, and the majority of them are in the urban areas. All right, so we need Māori sports groups, Māori arts and crafts groups, Māori community groups who are fighting regional and local councils. We're saying to them, together, meuru kahikatea, ne? When the roots of the kahikatea all bind together, you know, they're virtually invincible.
So you're talking working together, unification, but Rawiri, do you think that the government will play the two groups off against each other, the iwi Leaders Forum and the Maori Council, around this issue?
I think that there's potentially a risk over that. I mean, we've seen this sort of thing before. The internal debates over the Sea Lord settlement went on for nearly a decade or so. But I think we've probably learned a lot from that. My own view is that the roles of the Maori Council and iwi are probably complementary here, in the sense that the Maori Council action will provide us with a seminal statement on Māori water rights, and then there will be negotiations towards settlement between iwi and government, and I think the government and iwi would prefer it that way, and that's probably how it's going to unfold. And it's not a bad thing. The direct negotiations between iwi and the government have led to much better, healthier settlements over the last 5 or 6 years or so.
Manu, former ACT MP Stephen Franks says this about your case in front of the Waitangi Tribunal: a legal mugging to gain free SOE shares out of an easy-touch government. Is he right?
No, he's well off the mark. He's well off the mark. It's about Māori saying that we have an act, we demand justice, we want justice to be seen to be done. And that's what we're doing. And if he perceives it to be an easy mugging, well, that's his perception. The fact of the matter is, my own people, Nai Moewhare of Te Runanganui o Te Kawhenua, had a decision in 1996 from the Tribunal that said the government ought to compensate us for using and stealing our water to generate electricity power. We've been waiting over 16 years to get some justice, and it's the old story. Justice delayed is justice denied. And I'm saying to Stephen Franks as a lawyer, get your act right, get on the wagon that provides justice for Māori.
There's a lot of people saying that this may affect the sales of SOEs. Do you think that this case will really derail what the government intends to do and sell off state-owned enterprise?
I firmly believe so. I firmly believe so. At the moment, the government is selling the state-owned asset, right, at no cost, meaning that it's not paying a cent for the water that provides the value in the shares, and that is to generate the power. Once we get a decision from the tribunal that says, yes, Māori have proprietorial interests in water, government go and negotiate with Māori, a cost will be incurred. Immediately, overnight, the shares will halve.
Rawiri, let's go to you. Let's give you the final word. Do you think that the tribunal will be able to derail the government's attempts to sell off SOEs?
There's the potential for that. At the moment, the Crown is trying to keep the issue of SOE sales and Māori water rights separate. But we've seen comments from John English and John Key last week about preferential shares or buyback shares that will go to Māori, and that tells us that they understand that the issues aren't separate, and it's going to be interesting to watch.
Very informative. Nui ngā kōrero I puta mai ai a kōrua I tēnei ata. Rawiri Taonui in Christchurch, Maanu Paul here in Auckland. Thank you very much for your time.
Kia ora
Kia ora.